Divine Healing on Demand. I'm Kiana Del Rey, and I have Olivia Hope with me today, and we're going to talk to you about, do natural remedies really work? So I'm so excited to have Olivia here. She's going to share her own testimony about how she healed herself with natural remedies. So if you'll just stay tuned, we'll get to it right away. So yes, everyone, welcome. I'm so glad to have you guys back. Today, I'm treating my sore throat with some tea. I recommend it with lemon and honey, folks, a little tidbit for you. But yes, I am Kiana Del Rey, and I stand for empowering every individual to engage in self-healing through holistic wellness of the mind, body, and spirit. And I serve individuals with chronic illness and mental illnesses as well to heal themselves through holistic methods, because I just enjoy helping folks find a lifestyle that reduces their symptoms and leads them into remission. So this channel is all about educating folks and encouraging them to let go of that sickness mentality and step into a lifestyle of holistic healing. So today we have Olivia with us. Olivia is a dear friend of mine, and she is going to talk to us about how she healed herself of polycystic ovarian syndrome. Hello, Olivia.
Hello, Kiana. What's up?
It's so great to have you here. I'm so excited. So I want just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do, and
Dope. My name is Olivia Hope. I am an astrologer, writer, and actor. I live in LA. I am from the same neck of the woods as Miss Kiana. We're both from Southwestern Virginia, the Appalachian Mountains. Raise the roof. Is that like a very embarrassing millennial thing? Anyway, I have PCOS, other maybe more minor health issues, and I'm excited to talk to you about it today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Olivia and I have been friends for God how many years, like a bajillion. And I'm so grateful that we both believe in the same thing, holistic wellness. And I really I just love your story. I love seeing you post about even your doctor out in LA and how she is just such a huge advocate for the holistic way as well. So I thought that was beautiful. So Olivia, how old were you when you were diagnosed with PCOS?
Diagnosed is one word for it. I think 23 or 24.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you that kind of led to you to go to the doctor and get diagnosed?
I would go in for a regular, a semi-regular PAP. I like to be on top of my health, you know. And I was informed that I had cysts on my ovaries, and I always had an intuition that I had PCOS. Not just that I had PCOS, but that I have a family lineage of it, undiagnosed, which is super duper duper common. Like, we're living in a time where I think there's this idea that there are more women with PCOS and endometriosis and fibroids than ever. But realistically, some of that is probably true, and some of that is probably like we are the first generation to demand more aggressively to be diagnosed and to have the education at our fingertips, right? So I was informed that I had cysts on my ovaries, and I very aggressively had to demand a diagnosis. And this took like a year to get a more formal diagnosis. But I think most of the doctors I had seen most of my life knew that it was quite likely for me, so I didn't get my period until I was late 15, maybe 16, wow. Like very late, like, you know, and I noticed that there was a theme of that in running through, I don't want to speak for anybody in particular, but like the women in my family. Yeah. And after that, I didn't have another period for maybe like 9 months. And when I went to the doctor about it, I was told, well, you're an athlete, you have a low body fat percentage, which was like kind of true, but I wasn't abnormally thin. Like I didn't have an abnormally low amount of body fat. I had like an athlete's at that age body fat. I did around that time also have an eating disorder, so that definitely didn't help. And I think there is a funny thing that happens with women with PCOS where it's often paired in younger years with an eating disorder. So later on, when you're diagnosed and if you decide, I want to take this seriously and attack the root of the issue instead of the side effects, which would mean healing, as opposed to taking something to cover up what's going on. I think what's hard about that is often if it's been paired with an eating disorder, there can be a lot of shame, frustration, self-blame, because the research on PCOS is, I believe there are 4 different types. I'm not exactly thoroughly versed on each type, but I know that adrenal PCOS, I believe, has an association with being triggered occasionally by eating disorders instead of maybe genetic. Although I believe I sort of had this witch's brew combination of a few of the different things. Yeah. So that's like the beginning, I guess, of my story.
So it's funny that you said that you had to demand help. And I want to ask you a question. Do you feel like, because what I'm hearing is, do you feel like because you weren't overweight, you were being dismissed as a true person who had true PCOS? Because I feel like that's what they're looking for. They're looking for you to be like super overweight and like growing hair and like.
Yeah, they are looking for those things. And honestly, the birth control pill covers some of what those symptoms might be up anyway. But yeah, that is a way that that is one of the versions of them choosing to not do the work to diagnose you. And the approach I have found, not with every Western doctor, certainly. And like, I am also a believer in Western medicine, when it's necessary. It's helped so many, especially psychiatric drugs. But I found that most of the instances where I approached the subject were met with, oh, do you want to get pregnant soon? And my answer was no. And, oh, well, you really don't need to worry about that. And we can get you pregnant. We can get you pregnant later on in 5 years. Everything's changing. We can get you pregnant. And it's like, I want to heal my body. Like, I don't want to ignore things that are blatantly crying out to be addressed. And I also, like, I feel kind of creeped out by this approach of like, you can come back here and for a few $1,000s, we can get you pregnant in a few years. It's like, maybe not. And like, I don't even know if I want that, but that's not what the conversation should be.
Wow. Yeah. So it's interesting because you bring up this cycle of let's throw medicine at it. And then when the medicine causes another problem, let's throw more medicine at it. And then when there's another side effect for this medicine, let's throw more medicine at it. And it just ends you in this loop of polypharmacy that really just ends up creating more side effects. It makes you more likely to develop depression and other different chronic conditions. So it's really interesting that you brought that up. So my next question for you is, when was it that you decided to go the natural route, and how did you take that leap?
Oh, that's a great question. I was on the birth control pill for 7 years. In the world of astrology, that is a Saturn square cycle. That's almost like a marriage with the birth control pill. And this happened when I was 19 in college. I had a cold. I went to the university doctor. She was filling out my checklist of things. She was like, when was your last period? I think my answer was like 7 or 8 months prior, which is abnormal. Yes, it is and was abnormal. And she, in a really uncomfortable, sort of poor taste way, in my opinion, immediately started, it seems like, trying to terrify me. Like, she was like, you are never going to be able to have kids. You don't have a regular cycle. This is awful. You need the pill right now. You have to have it. And that sort of paired up with the time when I, in other ways, did need it. So I was like, okay, whatever. I started taking it and I gained weight. I did become really depressed, but I was 4 hours away from home. This was like freshman year of college. I was in a long-term, long-distance relationship that I feel like we can all relate to that stage in the relationship where you feel like you're losing control of it, or you're becoming different people. When you're long distance, it's like you can share things, but it's hard to feel like you can't actively share things in the room, you know? Lots of chaos. I was kind of consumed by my eating disorder, but I think that was also related to me feeling like I needed to control. There were so many changes taking place and I needed something I could control. But yeah, I got on the pill, I gained weight, I became increasingly depressed, but I associated it with these other things happening in my life. And to be really honest, I definitely wasn't intuitively listening to myself very often. And that seemed terrifying to me, that process, not just regarding my body, regarding a million other different things in my life. That was very scary to me. I wasn't ready for that, I guess is what I would say. And then I was on the pill for 7 more years. And the funny thing that happened is, the one thing the pill did do for me that I liked was it cleared up my skin a little bit. But around year 5.5, I started breaking out anyway. It's like the one positive benefit I felt like I was getting from the pill went away and actually got worse than it had been prior. And that time sort of intersected with this time where I was doing a lot of natural health research. I'd been getting really excited about functional medicine doctors and the fact that that was becoming popular, that Western medicine doctors could now not go back to school, because I don't think it's a traditional school process, but could become functional medicine doctors and use things like Chinese herbs and Ayurveda and holistic remedies in combination with the little pieces of Western medicine they might feel are necessary to help somebody heal. And I remember there was this podcast episode on the Stephen Cabral podcast, who's really, really great. He does really, really great work. I don't believe he's a formal MD. You should know. I thought he was for a long time. Don't believe so, but he is a functional medicine doctor. And he's been studying for 20, 30 years. And on his podcast, he mentioned birth control briefly and the fact that estradiol, which is in almost every birth control pill sold on the market, is a synthetic form of estrogen that is harmful to the gut. And once you have a synthetic hormone affecting your gut, it's very unlikely you're not going to run into depression, anxiety, different issues, IBS. I will say, I will occasionally say I have IBS, even though I feel like I have a more mild case than most. But if I'm honest with myself and I really track my health journey and trajectory, it seems like the birth control pill, I don't know that I want to say caused it, but I want to say it made it significantly worse, harmed my gut long term. And I spent years and years being really, really angry and upset with myself for being on it so long, because I remember I talked to my mom about it, and my mom, when she was young, really honored her intuition and was, the universe was kind to her about that. And I had a few girlfriends who I would talk to about the pill, and they'd be like, oh, I took it for a month. I felt awful. That was it for me. And I was like, wow, I wish I would have tuned into myself. I wish I would have listened to myself. I wish. But it's not about that. Like, that's part of the healing journey, and that part sucks. But it was about, okay, what can I do now with the gut that I currently have? What can I feed it? What can I eat? How can I live? What can I do to improve my circumstances? I went off the pill a few years ago, I think 3 at this point, 3 or 4. And I had cystic acne for 9 months to a year. And it did not heal on its own. I'd followed all these YouTube channels of girls who had gone off the pill, trying to do natural healing for a variety of different hormonal issues. And they were all like, it was awful for a year, then it cleared up. A year and 2 months went by. I still had this acne. I still hadn't had a period. Granted, at that time, I was a fitness instructor, teaching anywhere from 4 to 7 classes a week, lots of high intensity cardio, which I had to learn the hard way, is extremely counterintuitive for women who already have hormonal issues, who are trying to heal hormonal issues, who just care about their hormones in general. So that certainly didn't help. But what did finally significantly help for me personally were a subset of a combination of Chinese herbs and a few supplements, and shifting my diet. I had been mostly plant-based. I'd been strictly plant-based for quite some time, but then I'd been mostly plant-based with fish and eggs. I added meat back in, and my body really liked that. That could be hormonally related. That could be that I'm a type O blood type. There's so many reasons. Who knows? But yeah, the supplements and herbs I started taking, and actively getting out of the sun, picking up less fitness classes, trying to chill out over time really, really helped. But I wouldn't necessarily say I started really feeling the healing benefits until COVID, when I was let go of my job at that time, and I was able to genuinely rest and chill out. And I would go on hikes all the time. I had a lot more time to prepare my food. It was just, things started clicking a lot better.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. Such a journey. Such a journey. And I want to give you your flowers for a minute and snaps, because you advocated for yourself with your doctors, and then when that didn't get you the route that you wanted to go, you decided to take the authority over your own health and see what it was that you could do for yourself. And so flowers, yes. Kind of an interesting story for me. I've always had these horribly painful periods. I got my period in Miss Smothers' 7th grade class. Shout out to Miss Smothers. And thank you, Miss Smothers. Wouldn't be here without you today. But yeah, but it was so crazy because like I would have these pains that would send me home from school. Like I would end up screaming in class, and the teacher would send me to the nurse, and the nurse would be like, "This isn't normal. You need to go home." And so my mom would take me from doctor to doctor, and that's when about age 14 I was placed on birth control because I had what they call dysmenorrhea, which is like, they're like, you're having these painful periods, you got all this going on, we're just really worried about you. So I was placed on low estrogen at age 14. It's so funny that you told that story. I don't know if we're talking about the same friend, but I remember someone we played soccer with telling a story about how they went on Yaz and went crazy and like ended up having to come off of it. And so it's crazy how birth control actually has played a role. So I had been on birth control from 14 until 22, and then I think so, 22. And then around 20 years. Yeah. And so around age, it was around 2016, 17 when things just started to really like shift for me. It's crazy because I would say 2015 I gained some weight, and then in 2016 I lost it again. And then in 2017, I put on 70 pounds, and like that. Like it was like I breathed in and I was fat. Like it was crazy. Not that people who gain 70 pounds are fat, but I personally felt like a jumbo. Like when you like literally feel your fat hanging off you and you feel like you just are so like uncomfortable because you're so big. That's how big I felt. Like it hurt me to have the fat hanging off my body. I was so uncomfortably big. Like it was bad. And so now I'm 100 pounds down from that life. I'm like so grateful because it was really like, I could not even walk. Like I had to be dropped off at the front of Walmart because I could not walk from the parking lot to the door. Like it was too much. So, so it was 13 months of me not menstruating that I was like, you know what? I should probably go see someone for this. And I had already diagnosed myself with polycystic ovarian syndrome because first of all, let's be real, Kiana was smart enough to go to medical school, and like I can read a bunch of articles and figure out what's going on with me because I'm that in tune with my body. And so I went to the doctor and I said, hey, I think I have PCOS. And I told her everything. And luckily I was with this beautiful FNP that specialized in this kind of thing. And she was like, I think you have PCOS. Let's do some testing. And even though I was kind of like you, I wasn't a textbook example. Technically, I wasn't insulin resistant, but she said that she thought it was strange that even though my insulin wasn't in the range of what they would call insulin resistant, it was still higher than what it should have been for somebody who was doing a fasting blood test. So she was like, that to me points to something's going on with your insulin. And then she was like, you may not have cysts on your ovaries today, but she was like, but you're growing hair, you've gained weight, you're not menstruating. She was like, you have a clinically significant case of polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I'm going to diagnose you with that. And that's when she placed me back on birth control. And so I went back on birth control, and the weight started to come off a bit, It does help a little bit, but then it's like, how much does it really help? The period problem never went away. I kind of was like you. I had painful freaking acne. Like it hurts, like literally to the point where I was like, my face hurts, because it hurts. And and so for me, what was really interesting was, that the gut problems basically took over my entire life. But it was switching to an anti-inflammatory diet where I saw the huge shift in my life. And so I'm a huge advocate for eating to heal because of that. And so I think it's so interesting that you went along the same way, and that you and that we're here right now, that we've made it to this place right here. So my next question for you are, what are the herbs that you use to heal your PCOS? I want my YouTube channel friends to get the lowdown right here, right now.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So myo-inositol is incredible. It's a great start. That's right. That's the brand I use. Yes, yes, yes.
I had to make sure like they can see it. Hold on. Man, the light is
right. Does it also, will you look at the bottle? Does it also have vitamin D3 in it?
Vitamin D. It doesn't say vitamin D. Yeah, vitamin D3 and folate. D-chiroentyl, I can't read, y'all, but carinoxetol. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, myo-inositol is a great starter because it attacks the insulin resistance stuff naturally. I would say it's as effective as metformin. Yes, yes, yes.
I know my medications.
Yes. So when people ask me, I give them a handful of starters because everything I take is like kind of a lot, but I will tell you both. I am currently out of D3, but I do try to take D3, but I'm really fortunate. I live in LA. I try and get out in the sun. The sun is everything for depression, for hormones, for a million and one things.
Support.
Yes, for real. I take a lower dose, I think 500 milligrams of Vitex. That was probably the biggest game changer that finally got me a period. I don't take it when I get my period. So it's important to give it a rest, which is 5 to 7 days. And then I hop back on. I take evening primrose oil every day. I take it during my period because it's really good for the period pain naturally. Wow, I'm like, I could look in my cupboard right now. It's funny that I'm struggling.
I don't feel bad. I don't mind over here.
Yes, I take Shatavari and I love it. It's the only one I take that I can't give you the full research rundown on why it's so lovely. All I can tell you is years ago, I listened to a podcast with this woman who claimed to be an expert in Ayurveda. I really liked her. I intuitively vibed with her. And she referred to Shatavari as a beauty and pearl remedy to enhance the feminine. And I feel like it does. It's good for energy. I take ashwagandha. Sometimes I run out and I'll give it a break. But I am obsessed with ashwagandha. Yes, yes. I take reishi at night, and I never knew there was an association, yes, with hormones. I thought it was only for immunity because I didn't start taking it until COVID. I was like, that's when I started taking, I don't anymore, but that was when I started taking elderberry. I was taking echinacea, which you should know you don't actually need unless you are sick. Elderberry is great anytime, but echinacea you don't actually need unless you're actively sick. Reishi I started taking, and I still take it because a few months ago I found some really cool research on it being associated with being really, really beneficial for PCOS. And I'll tell you specifically
the Mercury retrograde and the interference with the Wi-Fi.
I transmute. Kiana, where are you? Let's see where you are. Hi, everybody. What's up? It's just me and my crystals. Hanging out. Hey, so I stayed in because it's live, so I assume you're just hopping back, or should I leave the studio and us come back? That's what it says, yeah. Perfect. Okay, no worries. See you in a minute. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'll see you soon. Okay, bye. Guys, I'm going to keep talking. I'll put on a show for you because what's what? I feel like so dressed up. But this is just my top that I can easily throw on that's like a decent color for things. And I try to keep on a blazer so I can be like a businesswoman with my crystals. But it's hot in here, so I'm taking it off. Kiana's coming back. She asked me if I can entertain the crowd until she's able to pop back in. I will let you know, Mercury is still retrograde, folks, for another few days, until the first week of February. So sometimes there's a tech issue, and like, that's okay.
Oh my goodness. I'm back, y'all. I'm in here. They were just like, nope. The powers that be was like, this conversation is too juicy. We can't let the people hear this. So
for the people.
And so where were you before the Wi-Fi cut you off?
I think I was at Reishi. Yeah. I was talking about Reishi, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yes.
Did some recent research and found it's not just really good for immunity and building white blood cells, but also for hormonal issues and PCOS specifically. If you take it, you want to take it before bed because it can make you a little drowsy. So it's like kind of helpful in that way. I already said vitamin D, very on and off, and I need to be better about it. But especially right after you go off the pill, for anybody, not just folks with PCOS, but any womb holding folks who like want to normalize their hormones. B vitamins, super important. Not that I'm saying after a long time you don't need them, but what I learned on that podcast, the same one that I want to go back to, is that right after you go off the pill for quite some time, another thing that the pill does is it robs you of nutrients when you're taking it. So you're like at a deficit in B vitamins and magnesium specifically. I take magnesium before bed, really important for hormones, but especially if you work out, and I lift weights. So that's like double important, double trouble. I think that rounds it out for me regarding everything that I take. Yeah.
So many good things that you said there. I really love that. I love you for Olivia sent me the Mayo Incital. I love that. She sent me ashwagandha and reishi mushroom. And fun fact, I actually was already looking at reishi because I've seen it as in coffee supplement. What's the word I'm looking for? Substitutes, and like different types of mushrooms like reishi, cordyceps, lion's mane being used for like ADHD and things like that. So I was already really interested in that, and so it actually doesn't make me sleepy though. It like makes me like so maybe it's because I have ADHD. So but the reason I love this one is because I also have tachycardia and a heart spasm, and this is good for heart health as well. So love the reishi mushroom. I want to add on to you guys that when you're eating to protect your hormone health and hormone balancing foods, you want to make sure that you're getting a lot of iodine, selenium, and make sure that you're eating a lot of omega-3s like pure, lean, low metal fish like salmon, tuna and things like that. But if you don't like fish like I don't, get you some omega-3s going in your life, because I can't stand fish, y'all. Ever since Miss Amy messed up the fish sticks at daycare, y'all, I can't eat fish. That's just my story, and I'm sticking to it. And so the other thing I want to tell you lastly is, if you have the period problems, y'all, if you got the period problems and it hurts really bad, you need to be taking magnesium and potassium, because this is going to decrease your period pain significantly. And if you're taking any type of anti-inflammatory NSAID pain reliever, it's going to decrease how often you're going to need to take that. Because if you're like me, you were taking like 800, 1200 milligrams every 4 to 6 hours, and that's not good on someone's liver. And so whatever we can do naturally to be able to supplement things is what we need to do, because not that nobody's hating on medication. It has its place and it serves its place, but we always want to promote healing from within rather than masking symptoms with a pill. So even say that about herbal remedies, right? So even herbal remedies, y'all, please make sure you've eaten right so that you can heal from within, and then supplement with herbal remedies, because it's really about truly a holistic lifestyle. If you're not eating right, if you're not managing your stress so that you're not emotionally eating, or even having an eating disorder, right? If you are not in a good space spiritually, it's going to be hard to be in a good place mentally, right? So it all comes back together, that mind, body, spirit connection. So yes, I love this conversation, V. And lastly, I want you to tell the audience about this infamous skin infection that you had. I can't speak today, y'all, and how you cured that. Yeah. So I saw your post on Instagram, and I want to hear the deets.
Guys, when you were talking, it reminded me of a few other things that I want to mention before I segue over. First of all, I love that we're talking about both, like food as medicine and supplements as being helpful, because I find sometimes folks who coach natural hormone healing sort of have this narrative that food can do everything. And sometimes, yeah, maybe if you've been on the pill for a year or two, maybe if your issues aren't as severe, but sometimes you do need a little bit of help in addition. So like, great. I also wanted to mention, I was realizing I should mention probiotics are incredible. I don't take them because of my IBS. Like, it actually, the extra bacteria, I'm not healed enough in a place yet to be actively taking probiotics, is the simple way to say that. And also, I can't believe I forgot it, because I'm speaking with Miss Kiana, my Virgo angel, that milk thistle, because Virgo rules the liver. When I drink, I strive to, I have a thing of milk thistle in my cupboard. I certainly don't take it every day, and you definitely don't need to. But if you have some drinks and you're on a healing journey, the next morning, milk thistle is so yummy for your liver. Okay, let's talk about my nail infection. What is the name of it? Parasacchiitis, I think. I'm close. I had a fingernail infection. It was really inflamed. It hurt, some like pus grew, like it was an infection, right? So that happens. And I just treated it on my own at home with tea tree oil, primarily. And then like the third day I used a little bit of Neosporin, and then I also soaked it in Epsom salt, a combination of Epsom salts and tea tree oil for like an hour a day. It literally went away in less than 48 hours. So I had a doctor's appointment. So that was funny, because then I had to go in anyway, because I didn't want to feel like I had wasted my doctor's time, who I'm obsessed with. I love my new doctor. This is as of a few months ago. I finally got a doctor that I feel like is honest, hears me, uses Western medicine when necessary, but really loves a holistic remedy. And And I told her what happened. I was like, I'm sorry if I'm wasting your time. I know it's going away. And she was like, this is the most intuitive, mindful approach possible. Tea tree oil is actually exactly what's most ideally called for in this scenario and like what I would recommend. I think you're on a great path. And she always says very sweet things like that she's proud of me for doing my research and like doing as much taking as many active healing measures naturally as I possibly can. Yeah, and I feel so lucky to have met her because this is my first ever doctor like that. And I'm 30 years old. That's crazy. So yeah, that's that story.
Yeah, so tea tree oil is great because it's basically like a natural antibiotic, antiseptic type thing. You can use it for piercings. If you like, I once had, I'll just tell her right here, right now. I had my nipples pierced, y'all, and I put tea tree oil on those when they were healing because it is such a great antiseptic. And so yes, yes, yes. And then salt is another great thing. A lot of people don't realize that sea salt, like that's another way that you treat piercings, right? You're going to treat them with sea salt rather than hydrogen peroxide or something like that because it'll actually dry out the wound rather than keeping it moist. So yes, I loved hearing that.
Yes. Also, like I love the call out to Epsom salts because I feel like I didn't really start connecting with my feminine intuitively until a year ago when I got really into baths and Epsom salts. And I was like alarmed because I've lived my whole life thinking that having this tremendously aching body is normal and that it just sucked. And maybe once a month you can get a massage. And like, I've been an athlete forever, but I take like 5 baths a week now.
Oh, I take a bath every day. And it's like 3 showers.
Hello.
It's really obnoxious. And the other thing I was going to tell you is I've been super weird, punchy person. I know that I can tell you this, and I'm wondering if I can't. You're a Leo moon, right?
Yes.
Okay, but I don't know if you've got water in your chart, but we've noticed in this water consciousness group that people who have water in one of their major placements is like obsessed with like the ocean, bath, shower. It's how they like regain their energy. And like, you know me, my moon is in Cancer. Like I love, love, love a good bath. I've been taking Epsom salt baths since I was young. So I'm like a grandma in like a young person's body. Like I just took an Epsom salt bath today. So but
yeah.
I just took a herbal bath recently. I put like I've just been having my ears have been draining and my throat has been sore. And so I decided to put some oregano, basil, and rosemary into my water and just really try to detox with some Epsom salt and just really just trying to promote immune health and just drinking some kefir water. I don't necessarily take a daily probiotic, but I do try to utilize like things like kefir water, kombucha, when I'm down and out, but I try to eat in a way that promotes a healthy gut biome. And so that's been what's been successful for me. So, do you have any last remarks?
I want to say I love what you said as a Sun, Mars, Pluto, Mercury, and Pallas all in Scorpio, which I feel like we forget our water signs because they are quite fiery. They are the fire of the water signs. I relate. And it's a great year to tap into your feminine relationship with water because Jupiter is moving through Pisces until the summer. Really nice. Do I have anything left? I don't think so. I've really loved this conversation. I do. My final intuitive guide thoughts are, it's a process, little by little, right? I had cystic acne, mood swings, weight confusion for over a year after I went off the pill. And I was doing everything. I was obsessed. I was consumed. And slowly like looking back, I realized that it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to really get truthful with your gut and your intuition. Everything happens in steps, and like, it's okay. Food is medicine. That doesn't mean orthorexia is the way. If you, at the end of the day, are dying for some Cheetos and you have a little bowl of Cheetos, whatever. It's just about taking the little steps. And that's it.
Yeah. I'm one of those people, like, unless you have some sort of illness, like, you really, really shouldn't eat gluten, because every time you eat gluten, it sends you patootin. I never say cold cut everything. That's not fair to your life. Like, who wants to say I'm never going to eat ice cream again? Like, that's so depressing. But unless you're someone like me, like, and like certain foods are just like bad news bears sending you downstairs, just always do everything in moderation. So lastly, my last remarks to everyone is the best thing that you can do for your PCOS is have patience with yourself and with your doctor, making sure that you self-advocate with your doctor and that you're speaking so that you can be heard, and making sure that you put your nutrition first in a holistic way, hormone balancing meals, making sure, this is something I actually didn't say in the video, but I'm going to say it now, making sure that you're being mindful about your soaps, your perfumes, your home cleaners that are toxic and hormone disruptors that actually are in your environment, causing your environment to enhance your hormonal problems, right? Causing this PCOS. It can be a contributor. So going the natural way with your cleaning products and your soaps and stuff can really help. And then lastly, supplementing your lifestyle and your diet with natural remedies. That's what I'm here to talk about. That's what I believe in. And because I believe that we can all reach remission if we just change up our lifestyles. And I know so many doctors that support that message. So thank you for being here. If you find that you need support for your chronic illness, do always know that I want to help you fall in love with yourself so you can say bye-bye to flare-ups and panic-inducing nightmares that come every time you try to work or enjoy your life with friends. I designed individualized strategies that will cut your medical costs with your hard work and commitment. So if you're ready and you are in desperate need of a solution and you're ready to commit to working for your healing instead of just wishing, go ahead and book a strategy call with me. I want to help you. And I'm just so glad that Olivia was here today to be able to share her wonderful message of natural healing. I'm so glad to have you here. And everyone, please do follow Olivia, the millennial astrologer. She is magnificent. She is my astrologer. Definitely go book a service with her. She is fantastic. You can find her at the millennialastrologer.com, and I will be sure to link it in the description of this video, along with the booking link to work with me. I can't wait to see you until next time, when we have Dr. Phil Carson, the pharmacist, speaking on natural remedies. Until next time, everyone. Bye.